What's that now? We're speaking sign language this week.
I'm saluting you.
Oh.
I'm saluting you, my brother.
Hey,
I'm
shout out to
saluting
sign
you.
language, by the way. Sorry. There's a lady called Andiswa Kebashe who is an activist for sign. She was one of the people that championed sign language to become a 12th official language
Okay.
in South Africa. So I wasn't taking a jab at people who sign. Anyways, how are you doing, Bobby?
I'm good. I've got a question. Is sign language, is it signed in... I know it must be a stupid question.
It's not.
Is it a... Because obviously sometimes they'll use sign for letters. Is it English? How does it work? English.
It's a great question. There's actually something called South African Sign Language on its own. This country's got its own sign language. Every other country's got its own sign language.
I didn't know that.
And it gets worse because in certain countries they have different dialects
Of sign language.
Of sign language. So I mean, the type of English they speak in parts of England is different.
Okay.
If you watch British content.
Yes.
If you are South
That's
African,
not real English though, eh? Some of it. It's not
some
real
some of it, yeah. Look, I don't think Shakespeare would be happy. If you're South African, you'd understand that people from KZN speak a certain type of isiZulu,
Yes.
and then people from Johannesburg speak a different type of isiZulu. So with sign language, it's the same. And once you're in a group of people and you guys have shortcuts for Bobby, like let's say we all know, okay, that's Bobby. So
he's been speaking to some of the company. They said like this, yeah, either like this or like this.
Like say, where's you're like, oh. So if you go to another country and you're like, where's, they'd be like, you Biden. You're like, oh no, I meant Bobby. so yeah. Anyways, sign language. How are you doing outside of that?
I'm excited, man. I'm like best time to be alive. Just before the Rugby World Cup. I was hoping your team is not going to be in the final. I knew my team was going to be in the final.
You did say you'd smash your TV, so I'm glad your TV is still alive.
Still
Jeez.
alive.
Is it going to make it through the weekend though?
Well, it's, I love data. I know you love data as well, more than I do.
I know where this is going.
So based off of data, my TV will be fine. Historically speaking, we've never lost the final. I know you said that we've got a lot of pressure in the country and everything, and it's maybe a bit too much to handle, but I think we can handle the pressure. What do you think?
What's the biggest thing in your life right now outside of rugby? Because rugby is just an aspect of our lives.
I'm going through a very weird transformation where I'm embracing who I am. Maybe I've been reading a couple of good books lately.
Who you are being bad?
No, good. Good.
You shouldn't struggle to embrace good.
Yeah. Good, depending on who you ask.
Sure.
Good in certain circles. In other circles, maybe too much. But I've listened to Audible, best app ever. Walter Isaacson's new, I'll say manual to Elon Musk. Manual, because he's a robot. He's not a human.
It's not a biography.
It's a biography, but it's more manual.
Okay.
He dissects him piece by piece, and what does it mean when he goes into demon mode, and how does it become dark? How does he use that to drive him? How is he wired? Because some people are wired for peacetime,
yeah,
and some people are wired, like Elon is completely wired for wartime.
Yeah.
Meaning, whenever there's nice, beautiful, calm music and a slow-moving river in his life, he needs to go and create a bomb, an atom bomb, just to create havoc so that he can solve it and sort it out, or just move to a different area where it's completely shit and fix that. So I think at this time of my life, I needed that message.
Sure. You identify with that type of personality?
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
I love it.
It's an addiction, by the way, being addicted to problems and solving them. People are willing to move to other places to solve problems.
Yeah.
The problem with human beings like that is when they're not willing to move, they start creating problems.
Start creating
so
problems.
that they can solve them.
Like a fire starter rather than a prevention method.
Like basically we don't have eggs and there's an egg shortage. And you're like, okay, who decided that, when, why? Go to a country with no eggs, man, and sell them eggs. Why do we have to hike up prices here and pretend there's a shortage? Anyways, that was just an example, hypothetical. I wasn't saying.
Love it.
But you're good.
I'm very good, sir.
Excited about the Rugby World Cup final?
Very excited. Are you excited?
Preparing for loss? You're
No.
going to be okay?
No, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I think the pressure on both teams is slightly tilted more towards your team, towards the
Zero.
All Blacks.
Zero.
I disagree. I think the pressure on the All Blacks is bigger than on the Springboks. I'll tell you why.
Go for it.
You know, they come in, they lose to us horribly before the World Cup.
Just before the World Cup, yeah.
Yeah, they play okay-ish
True.
throughout the World Cup. They're not at their peak, at their best.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a strategy, because if it was, it's a damn good one. But I don't think it's a strategy to, you know.
Sorry, say that again. If
I
it
don't
was,
think
then it would.
It's a very good one, but
Okay.
I don't
please
think
continue.
I don't think it's a strategy, because they play shitty all the way up to their game leading to the final, which they played well.
What do you mean they played shitty?
You know,
They were mediocre. I can agree. As the All Blacks.
as the All Blacks.
Correct.
Because
When you say shitty now, after whipping teams
So-
90, 70,
where's my guy? Here's my guy.
MJ.
MJ. When MJ walks on the court, his attitude is pass me the fucking ball and get the fuck out my way.
Yeah.
You know, that's his attitude. So when MJ walks onto the court, MJ is on the court. He's going to dominate. When the greatest sports team to ever play professional sport. Yes, I'm going to stop moving it. I'm very excited, man. I'm passionate. When the greatest
Stop
rugby
assaulting the
team-
mic, please. Leave
when
the mic alone.
greatest rugby team, man, this is like my 17th coffee. I'm buzzing, bro.
Put the microphone down.
You are like a machine at debates, and I hope I've properly prepared to debate you today. But when the greatest rugby team,
Sports team. Let's fix
sports
that.
team, sorry,
Of all time.
of all time,
You need to say that properly with the passion of that caffeine.
cool, greatest sports team of all time
Boom.
walks onto the rugby field and gives us mediocre performances, which you agree with.
And
I'm
still
not gonna-
smacks Italy 90
Whoa.
something. Jeez.
You know, he came up because he's called the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Whenever he showed up, he was the GOAT. And I think the pressure of that psychologically is going to be their downfall. Our boys are relaxed.
Zero.
You think so?
You know you're lying to yourself.
I'm not.
You can try lie to the people and to yourself,
not.
but you know.
So why
You
do
know.
you say zero?
The current All Blacks have ensured that they are under no pressure. They have not been the best in the world. Ireland was number one, France for a long time. Even the Springboks weren't in top two. No one really believes, they call him Fozzie. Ian Foster, the coach, is like the greatest coach ever. Yes, they come off the hype of being the All Blacks. Yes, there was that sad loss against England in was it the semis? Or
No.
quarterfinals in the 2019
Oh, okay.
World Cup.
2019, yes.
I don't know if it was the semis or the quarters. It's not important. England kicked them out. Yes, there's some pain, but I don't think they're under that type of pressure. And even now with the Springboks, which I'm also not going to call it a strategy. They lost. They regrouped. I think it was their first game in the World Cup. They lost to France, a better team. France is amazing. I don't care who says what. France and Ireland are arguably still the best teams in the world. If you look at what they've done to the All Blacks and the Springboks, who gave in immense performances. People had not seen the Springboks play like that.
Definitely.
People had not seen the All Blacks play like that in maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And it was still marginal wins to show how amazing Ireland and France actually are. And look, they rose to the occasion. But when you listen to the propaganda that the Springboks are under, it is not about the team.
Propaganda.
It is propaganda. At the end of the day, sports, outside of you being paid and fans watching and people betting, sports is a game between two teams.
Okay.
One team wins, the one loses. People are sad. It's sports. Luckily, it's not a war. No one is dying. Outside of someone maybe betting their house, no one is losing anything major. And at the end of the day, guys shake hands. They shake hands. We saw Antoine Dupont crying. We saw Johnny Sexton looking dazed. People are sad, but life goes on. Owen Farrell, at least, when they lost against the Springboks, was quite classy, at least. The Springboks propaganda goes beyond just the team and the field. You listen to guys like Rassi. You listen to maybe a Cyril. You listen to South Africans on social media talking about the country needs this. We're in a bad you'll hear none of that from New Zealand. New Zealand needs you. You know, they might play the nostalgic history but they're not under pressure. And no one is saying, if you guys don't win, what's going to happen to our country? Yeah, it's almost like, guys, load shedding is coming back. Please win. We're playing for electricity. So you know you're lying. We all know you're lying. I don't think the All Blacks are under pressure because, as you said, they haven't been great. The Springboks are the reigning champs. They want to retain the trophy. Outside of Ireland and France, they were the favorites.
Does that add to the pressure?
For who?
For the Springboks.
Very much. And look, these last 2 games were tough for them.
Yes.
New Zealand almost got a free pass with Argentina. South Africa had to play France and then had to play a spirited England in wet weather that they'd beaten and hurting England from the last World Cup. That's not nice psychologically. Yes. Like it strains you.
Agree.
And then you have to go and meet the All Blacks who went and beat the best team in the world, a team that had beaten the Springboks.
Yes.
And it's almost like they're peaking at the right time and they got a rest last week. A rest against Argentina. It's tough, boy. New Zealand's going to lose. They'll be like, well done to the reigning champs. You know, it is the Springboks, you know. Shout out to Sia Kolisi and the boys. With the Springboks, it's like if you lose, the whole country's going to be like, yo, guys, we really need it. The pressure's, it's not fair.
But hold on a little bit.
Oh, and statistically, you said you guys always win finals.
Well, that's
if that's not pressure, then I don't know.
So I mean, to become a Springbok or to become a All Black starting 15 player, you have to dedicate your entire life. Almost.
That is correct. Not even almost. Your entire life.
Your entire life. So primary school, get spotted, go to one of these provincial schools that push rugby.
They don't push rugby. They worship it like a religion.
There we go. Then you have to exercise, eat right, hope that you don't get injured.
Date the right girl. Who's rugby mad as well.
Yes. So dedicate your whole life to then get to the finals against the Springboks, and if you lose, well done. At least you know it's the Springboks. I don't think they enter that game that way. And if they
really don't. But again, we have to speak about their track record. Before the World Cup, the All Blacks were the fourth team in the world.
That's why the pressure is on.
And they took a hiding from the Springboks.
That's why the pressure is more.
No. Go back to your same primary school and you must live your fourth. And got whipped by the Springboks.
Yes.
Why would they allow that if they worship this thing? So they were just not good enough.
They were not good enough.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what's sad for me about this World Cup final? Well, maybe this is the only sad bit. Well, there's other sad bits, but this one, there are current guys on both sides who have World Cups.
Yes.
Still have a medal. Especially the best players in the box. Andre, Kolisi,
is that sad?
Dwayne.
I see it differently.
It's sad because it is not the same. You know when you are in high school, the first time you make the first team, and if you happen to be good in grade 11, if you happen to be sensational in grade 10, you can never replicate that. You'll get to matric and you're a senior, urban, legend. Sam Whitelock is the most kept All Black of all time. But you're like, you'll give your all, which is something that you're used to. You're used to excellence. But it's not the same. You're not like, this is my first and last chance in my career to get the highest honors in world rugby, which is a World Cup. They've got it. The young guys might be hungry, but a lot of them are not even getting to play from both sides, which has made me sad. There are young guys who could come back like Francois Steyn and be like, this is going to be my third World Cup. I won my first one when I was 20. Yeah. But the coaches didn't give them that chance. Instead, they're letting the old dogs play. Willie Leroux, Sam Whitelock, guys who really don't need this game to be fully. They don't need this World Cup final so that in the next World Cup they come back and they're like, boys, I was there. I can tell you. They don't need it. It's literally a retirement package. They could have done that from the stands. Willie Leroux, Sam Whitelock did not need to be in the squads. Anyways, sorry.
I disagree with you.
Go for it.
I'm
Go
going
for
to
it.
make my argument. Here's my argument. I think rugby as a sport is unique in a way that you can get injured. You can be a big guy, a small guy will tackle you, you fall wrong, whoops, there's your ankle,
Yeah.
there's your elbow, you're gone. So I think the risk of injury in specifically rugby is a lot greater than football. Because football's, you can still, I mean, look at Ibrahimovic, he's 40. He can perform with the 19-year-olds
Yeah.
because he took care of his body, and the injury chances are a lot smaller. With rugby, this could be their last World Cup, even for the youngsters, because they'll go play provincial rugby. Some guy that's coming up wants to make a name for himself. He tackles him wrong or he dunks him on his neck and they can't play again. So
it's just not on form. Herschel Yankees didn't make the World Cup. Some other guys didn't make the World Cup squad.
Got sick, whatever. There's many things outside of the pitch that could influence it. So that's the one part. Injury is the one part. The other part is, do you not bring a different sense of experience and calmness as a champion that when you approach the game, whistle goes, ball is up in the air, you quiet it down because I've been here before. I know what to expect. The pressure, yes. We're fighting for electricity.
You've been here before.
Yes.
It's a very important line that when I rebut.
We've been here before. Yes.
No, I've been here before. You talk about the guys with experience.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. And even though on paper we're fighting for electricity here, we're gonna go to war with these guys. We're not. It's still a game. This is how we're gonna speak to each other. This is the decision-making process. If this, then this. We've done this many, many times in practice, and we have played a final before. And your approach to the game is a lot calmer with a lot more focus. Now, for me, a champion is a champion only when he or she or a team defends its title.
I hear you.
And I believe that with the positive peer pressure, you call it propaganda, it is a little bit of propaganda, but the positive peer pressure from the country. I watched and I'm not an emotional guy.
We don't know that.
I'm not.
Blame it on the caffeine.
I'm not an emotional guy, but a friend of mine sent me on Sunday a TikTok of a talk that our captain did to, 2,000-3,000 people, and it wasn't, I can sort of make out I'm trying to get, these guys on my side because of my sad story. It wasn't that. It was an honest, this is who I am, this is where I grew up. My granny looked after me. Many nights I had to, and I'm not an emotional person. I've cried very few times in my life about stuff like that. In the gym, in front of people, tears. I went and sat by one of those overhead machines because it's in the corner and then it's just me in the mirror. And that video made me cry. And I'm the biggest fan of that young man because of the journey that he had to endure, because I understand poverty. I grew up in poverty and I never ever had to go to bed with sugar water so my tummy doesn't hurt. But, we had nothing. So we're fighting for electricity, but we're also fighting for pride. And what is possible is positive peer pressure for me. That's why I believe we can take this final.
You're adding to my argument of why the Springboks are under more pressure. You can't tell the same story about anyone in the All Blacks. You literally just made it about the country and no longer about Sia. Sia's well off. Sia's got an amazing family. He makes a lot of money. He's on every TV ad.
Okay.
But you literally made it about his story because you're making this bigger than just a game.
But it is because
you agree with me.
So yes, that
the Springboks are under more pressure. You're confessing to your lie.
I'm going to say this. As a country and as a proud South African, we need to choose our heroes. We need to choose our heroes. It's very important who we see as a hero. And I didn't grow up in a township, but I've had the opportunity to work with and lead a lot of young boys and girls who did. And I've had thousands of conversations like this. So in the township, who do we look up to? We look up to the uncle that drives a Gusheshe and that drives a Beamer and a Zak and can go into the Shebeen and buy drinks for the chicks, and they're all around him because he's got money. He's married and he's got 5 or 6 side chicks. What does he do? No, we don't really know. We don't really know. Okay. So that's a role model for up and coming youngsters in the township. All of a sudden, we've got Sia, who's a different role model. I'm the guy, I want to, this just came to me. I want Sia to wear his underpants on the outside of his shirt and have a cape and say, I'm the South African hero, instead of the uncle that drives a Gusheshe with 5 side chicks and nobody really knows what the fuck he does. That's my argument.
I'm going to go back before you went on a tangent with your sad township story. And I can say this because I'm actually from the township.
Okay.
We were speaking about experience. And my only argument and why I wanted to rebut was what Andre Pollard did against England could only have been done because he's beaten England in a final.
Okay.
Which is what you were saying.
Yes.
You'd like a senior to be like, I've been here.
Yes.
Experience is very important,
that
by
brings
the way.
a calmness to a very tense situation.
And familiarity. Aaron Smith did the same when he gave an interview explaining why the All Blacks needed to rise against Ireland.
Okay.
He was saying, I think he said there's like 9 of us who were there when England took us out. We know that it's more than just.
Yes.
People could write us off, it's fine, but at the end of the day, we are the All Blacks.
Revenge time, baby.
Eddie Jones made a mistake by leaving behind Quade Cooper and Michael Hooper for those reasons. Because experience, seniority, calm heads are important. With that being said, you are denying... Let me just use Kanan Moody as an example. You are denying Kanan Moody the chance to play off rugby so that he becomes one of the seniors in crunch time at the next World Cup, so that you can play guys that are arguably not even in form. It's one thing to play Eben, Sia, who are leaders and who deserve to be there over anyone else wearing the jersey. It's another thing to take like an older player who you're almost doing it for ceremonial purposes. It's not because that actually at crunch time they have the BMT to actually turn the game on its head, where Andre Pollard can, where Francois Steyn could actually at 60 meters in a World Cup final could be like, I'll kick.
Let me kick it.
So my argument was just, it's a bit sad. And look, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying there should be no old players and no experience. I fully support that. I'm just saying it saddens me a bit that on both sides, there are World Cup winners who don't need this. And who arguably don't even deserve to be in the team. And who maybe, if they were going to be in the team, should be coming off the bench, should be on the side. Like, there's nothing wrong with, let's say, Sia. There's nothing wrong with Sia being on the side like he was, even at the end of the English team.
I disagree.
It's fine.
He has to be on the field.
At the end of the English team, the way he was standing at the end, Andre, Faf, Ox, all the guys on the field knew that he was there. I mean, when we speak about Rassi and Jacques, they're not on the field. But it's not that the guys don't play for them. They do. But now having Jacques on the field, when you're like, I don't think Jacques should have been on the field. Because he's not the guy who's coming to his second World Cup, who's like, I've actually never played playoffs and I won my first medal. I'm tired of watching Faf and Sia and them train because they won a World Cup and I don't have one. Allow me the same honors you guys got because they were seniors when you guys were playing. But some of them moved out the way so you guys could become heroes. Allow me to become a hero like you. I want to be like you, but I'm being denied. And now all you old crocs here, All Blacks, Springboks, you're going to lose the game. One of you is going to lose the game. And it won't be that bad because you're not that hungry. I'm hungry. It's the reason I fucking made the team and I'm 23. Because I fucking want what you have. I was watching you win the World Cup when I was in high school. I'm now playing with you. I want what you have. And you're telling me, no, we need the calm heads and shut up.
So different point of view. Is the Springboks putting the experience, the calm heads, like you said, the old bullies, the one that should have already tapped out?
Sure.
Against this specific All Blacks team, to put experience versus experience. I've played you before. I know what to expect. I know how you move. I've studied your moves. I've had you tackle me. I know what your power is. I know how you react in certain situations. I know that if I talk shit to you, I can get a reaction from you. Is that not maybe the strategy versus the young guy that is over eager and doesn't know that when this happens, this is the reaction?
You're
That's
just
a question.
spelling out my sadness. Why are two old bullies playing against each other? Like, my issue is, why are they even old bullies saying, I know him? Oh, I know him. You're like, why can't it be us new guys who don't know each other? Let us smash each other so that in future, I'm like, I once played against this guy in a final and, it was special. It's
But it's a
literally
final.
old bullies saying, hey,
It's
you
a
have a
final.
medal.
There's a
Where's
lot
your
to
medal? Hey,
lose.
where's your medal?
There's a
Mine is
lot more
newer
to-
than yours. You're like,
There's a lot more to lose.
I've got no issues. All I was saying, I need to highlight this because I'm going to be misquoted. I've got no issues with old, experienced, calm, world champs on both sides playing. It's the right thing to do, especially here. I mean,
Yes.
assuming this World Cup final was actually a real war, assuming it was two countries going head to head.
It is a real war.
No, man, I'm talking about people dying now. I'm talking about like a serious, we're speaking Israel and Palestine where people die. So I'm comparing it to that. I'm saying in a situation where
It is a real war.
no, I disagree.
I
disagree.
I gave my entire life from primary school, ate the right stuff, trained, avoided injury, dated the right girl to have an opportunity to play in the World Cup final. It's a war.
Have you listened to the Springboks speak in the past about real problems? I think at the last Rugby World Cup, I'm not sure who it was, but they were like, look, we've got real problems back home. And we have an opportunity with a game to inspire people
Yes.
to rise from real problems. But these are not real problems. My point is, if this was like a real war, you'd be like, please send the most experienced, it doesn't matter how old they are. They could be 45, 50. If it's the best person, call back Francois Steyn. Even if he's fat, call back Mornay Steyn. It doesn't fucking matter. Strap his knee, let him, because we had won, we're trying to live, trying to survive. Then I'd be like, all systems go. It's one of the issues with our politicians in this country. Sorry to deviate. I've said to young people, you complain about pensioners in parliament. Number one, you don't vote for young people. That's why we have old people there. Number two, these old people are clearly outsmarting you. Because if they're so old and they're so tired and they're so...
Why are they winning?
It shouldn't even be a thing. But
Yes.
clearly they are stronger than you, more violent. And so they almost deserve to be there because you haven't proven that you have an ability to outsmart them.
I agree.
So in that case, I'd be like, by all means. But here in the interest of sport and development and those nice things, and the reason we have an experienced Faf and a Andre and a Sia and a Dwayne and an Eben and a Damien and a Creel and a Willie, these are guys that have won a World Cup. And I'm like, really? Like the whole team? Now, how do we build moving forward? You'll win. We'll all celebrate. You'll win again. We'll all celebrate. It's great. The country will be on a high for the next few weeks. It's great. But now you're literally building from scratch when you had an opportunity to not. Where the All Blacks, let's say, win this by 2 points, it's fine. At the next World Cup, you've bloodied certain guys. And you're like, we actually built for the future. We want to win, of course. But imagine also winning even with the young guys, what it does to them, which is what Andre and them did before. That's all I was saying. And it's just, for me, it's just a little sadness. I love the idea of succession planning. And I do think at some point, certain old people, I remember Victor Matfield, and it was Victor Matfield and I think Fourie Dupré. When Heineke Meyer called them, they said, "Nee, dankie." For me, that's leadership. And I'm not saying any of the Springboks shouldn't be there. I'm just trying to highlight that there is a time when you're like, let the young guys run, because this is actually important. It's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. And if it is about the country, then some of us are meant to be like, Africhter asseblief, coach, please. Let the boy play. I'll coach him, I'll be in his ear, I'll tell him, you shouldn't fucking be there, it should be me. Go fucking show them that they made the right decision. But I'm here. But now if I play, even if we win, I don't need it. You need it. The country and its succession planning and sustainability needs it more than me.
I agree with you to a degree, except to do succession planning. Sorry, English is like my third language. It's Bulgarian, talking shit, and then English. Succession planning is 100% how you keep the game alive and you keep the tradition alive and you keep, generationally, keep on winning and staying in the game. You don't think succession planning in a final. You've got a chessboard, you've got all your pieces, and you're gonna play your best pieces for the final, because after this, there's nothing. This is it.
It's sad that we got to a final where you had no choice but to play those guys.
You have to play your best team.
No, I understand, and that's what makes me sad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it makes me sad. Yeah. It's right. It's the right decision. Yeah. It just makes me sad.
I mean, the opportunity to. Here's how I see it. Flip side. I had an opportunity to stay about 4 days and spend 2 of the 4 days with an exceptional business leader. Has 40,000 salespeople. PBD.
40,000.
Yeah, he's got
salespeople.
40,000 salespeople, and
selling what? Sorry.
Insurance. They do insurance. Life
That's
insurance.
Where he makes the bulk of his money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So day one, when we arrived, spent time with his team. So the top 5 guys in his company, the entire day. Just watching how they speak to each other, how they move, how they process issues, the aggression. Because everything I see on YouTube and up to, leading up to meeting him, he's very calm, he's collected, he's a cool guy. The language is just perfect. Everything is just perfect. Is he that person in real life? And when you spend 2, 3, 4 hours with him, that is he so composed all the time? And the truth was no. The truth was me spending time with his team and spending time with him in his natural environment teaches me a lot more than watching a $10,000 business course, because in real time he's processing issues and he's trying to teach us a strategy. His phone rings, I have to get this, there's a crisis. What do you mean? Why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? So spending time with someone that is on that level, a World Cup winning team, you called out their names, spending time around them and playing the game with them, in my opinion, is the best succession planning and strategy. It's better than allowing the youngsters to play the final. Just being there with them, feeding off the energy, watching how they move, because at that level, the devil's in the detail. All the separation is very small. It's minute. It's millimeters. What did we eat the night before? What did we post-training? Just spending that time with a World Cup winning team and not playing on the field, in my opinion, is enough.
Sure.
You agree?
No.
Shit.
Otherwise, we'll keep this thing going.
Okay.
Sure. So I'm just a bit sad. I need that to be put on record. But good luck to both teams. Are we still doing the teams?
Yeah.
The game? Manny Libok not in the squad at all. Was taken off at 31 minutes for Andre Pollard, which was the right decision to do or to make. I don't know if it was the right time. It's 9 minutes to halftime. Could have been done at halftime. Maybe just looks a bit classier. Looked a bit panicky at 31 minutes. Manny Libok's not in the squad at all.
What do you think happened?
Is it the first game? I'm not sure that he's not in the squad at all. What happened is exactly your thinking of one game, we're going to put the best guys that we think can win. And the arguments are it's going to be raining on Saturday. And therefore, we're not going to be playing a running game. If you look at the Springboks versus England, the backline, we didn't see them at all. Not because, but it's because literally the game didn't allow. And we were kicking, which also didn't make sense at the time because you were kicking on one of the best fullbacks in the air in the game, Stewart, who was brilliant on that day. I think if England had won, he was probably going to be arguably man of the match. So we're probably going to be kicking a lot. It's going to be wet. It's going to be tight. So I guess Jacques and Rassi thought Mani's a running fly-off. And because they picked a 7-1, they're like, we don't have space for him. And they're going to play Willie Leroux. I don't think Villy should be on the bench. I would have preferred another utility player. I'm just not necessarily sure who. Because Villy, as far as I know, is only a fullback, but he does double up as a second pivot in open play. But I think the last few games, he's just been done a favor of like a retirement plan. I don't know. Because look, I love Villy Leroux. He's fantastic in attack. If you look at his highlights reel, some of our favorite tries have been scored through his assists. But in terms of, like I said, with the youngsters that are hungry, people that are on form, I think Rassi and Jacques, they're leaving after this. So arguably they don't care. But for the succession of the box, it would have been nice to see Andre Esterhuizen getting more game at 12. Kane and Moody playing more. The guy was performing. Luckily, Damian Willemse did put his hand up, so they are starting him. So kudos to that. And maybe some of the scrum offs. I know Grant Williams was put on wing and he shows his versatility, so he's valuable. Jaden Hendricks hasn't really been given a run. Jean Klein is also in the squad, and I don't know if he's performed enough to deserve to be in the squad for the final. Guys like Kwagga Smith, now outside of a tournament, Kwagga Smith, Ox and Che have proven that they are the in-form guys in their position. But now, because of strategy and those things, they still get called a bomb squad and put in to come and turn the game. For me, it's a bit disrespectful for me. For other people, it's strategic. If you know I have an ability to win a game, like what they did with 131 minutes, if you know that, why do you want to wait? Why must I come on in the last 15, 20 minutes and make magic for you?
Strategy.
I know, like I said, it's strategy, but it's to the individual. It's kind of, I'm outplaying your favorite boy. And one of the arguments or one of the debates we had with the guys was, let's assume the Springboks are going to perform as they've been performing. Saturday could be something we've never seen. I mean, the All Blacks showed us that against Ireland. No one was expecting that. No one expected England against the Springboks. Yeah. So the game could be completely unique. But assuming they play exactly as they play, Stephen Kitchoff has been, I absolutely love Stephen Kitchoff. He's one of my favorite Springboks. He's been very average this World Cup. Ox Sinche, for example, at Trevor Nyagane, the guys have been proving that they are in form. So what that almost tells me is if you're going to play the way you've been playing, it means you're planning to chase the game. Mm-hmm. And then hope that your bomb squad, Ergia Sneeman and the guys are going to come and make magics. But that's not really fair. And the debate we had with the guys was, do you want to chase the score or do you want to defend the lead? And that on its own becomes a strategic question mark.
Especially in a final.
Yeah. Both these teams, by the way, can play 80 minutes.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes.
The All Blacks have won games in the 83rd, 84th minute when the game's already over. So that's very dangerous. But a lot of people are putting so much of their hope on the bomb squad, which is beautiful, and we have that privilege, but it's also unfair. Like, oh, okay, so when shit is we must come and make magic. What if we also just want to play like everyone else? Why did you knock the ball? Why didn't you ask that of Franco and Eben the whole game before the last 15 minutes? Now it's like I lost the game, but I didn't. I played just like those O's, but you guys had us chasing a 9-point lead by England. It is not fair. And at which point do you give me kudos? Like, Kwagga, you are so amazing, bro. You need to start. And because you're so amazing, we're expecting you, because you're in form, to give us a 15-point lead. So that when these guys you've kicked off, when the other O's come in, they're like, look, the guys gave us a good lead. Now it's for us to just defend with our calm heads and our experience. And so, but it's worth the debate, because it's not that my opinion is right and the other one is wrong. It's just different strategy. But I do believe, and everyone would agree, that some of these guys, Ergia, Kwagga, Ox, the guys are the informed guys, but they've been put into this bomb squad that is meant to make magic. I haven't seen the All Black squad. They don't do 7-1. It would be interesting if they did it for the first time. Number one, it would show the influence of Rassi and the box. But
on
number
World
two,
Rugby.
On World Rugby. And it would also show that they realize it's going to be a physical affair. They have physical guys. The Springbok fans want to win. They want to win. But I really, really cherish how much Springbok fans respect the All Blacks.
Yes.
It is the one team they wanted to meet in the final. It is the one team they fear. And even after the Springboks whipped the All Blacks before, there's no arrogance of, beat them.
No.
So I really, really appreciate that. And I hope both teams, out of everything, make it a final worth experiencing. The semi-finals were a dream. I mean, the quarterfinals, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Which were the unofficial semi-finals.
Yes.
They were an absolute dream. Ireland and New Zealand gave us something spectacular. And then we didn't think it could get better. And then France and South Africa came and, I'm sure pharmacies have run out of asthma pumps. People probably have asthma now. Doctors have to deal with people having mild heart attacks and strokes. But all in the name of fun, man. The boys by the boys, I'm talking Springboks, I'm talking All Blacks, Ireland, France, even England last week. We have to thank them for giving us a special World Cup. We've got the third place playoffs Friday, which is England and Argentina. I think that game should be scrapped. I can't believe that your heart is fully in it. Even if it's for pride, it's just not the same. And then the final game to seal off everything. It's been an emotional World Cup. It's been a special World Cup. Seeing Portugal and their win, seeing Fiji, and how they really inspired so many people. Fiji, 2 of the players lost their loved ones. One lost a son, the other one lost a father. The embarrassment of Australia. For some people, look, it was great, but it was also sad because we love a strong Australia. They add to world rugby. But it also speaks to Sansa losing South Africa in their local championships, because South African teams now play in Europe.
Yes.
Which also speaks to how strong now some of those teams have become. So that's going to be something for world rugby to look at. Sadly, Namibia still not doing well. England luckily did well. Saw some new names, some new players, some special people, some magical moments. A World Cup that's going to be remembered for refs, how they spoil some games.
Yes.
And the TMOs, that's something that they need to fix.
One of your status updates on Instagram, I never expected you to use that word, and when I saw it, I was like, my man. So I loved your comment. I don't know if we can say that word on camera, but you can just imagine.
Is it as bad as vitkant or?
Yeah, typical Afrikaans word. The one which you use when you're really angry.
Not as bad as vitkant, because vitkant is white side.
No.
Or veitkant.
Veitkant.
White side.
No, that
not as bad as that.
It was just straight up. Pah!
Jeez. So not even with the debate.
No, just straight up. Poof.
So yeah, man, the refs have spoiled the game, which
Yes.
makes me sad. And World Rugby needs to relook that. Another thing that people maybe are not going to speak about as much, that I really need them to look into, the camera work and the editing has been atrocious this World Cup. We are used to, as the rugby nation, certain replays.
Yes.
We deserve them. We're the fans, we watch. We also at home want to debate and argue,
Yes.
but it was a knock. No,
Yes.
it was on the line.
Yes.
And they've denied us that. They claim it's so that the game flows, but fuck that. We're part of the game.
Yes.
We pay, we watch, the advertisers are advertising to us.
Yes.
Yes, we
Agree.
respect the ref and the TMO, but I mean, this is what gets the beers flowing. This is
Yes.
what's like, you are fucking wrong.
Yes.
It was a knock for weeks and months to come. Allow us that privilege of seeing the replays. And they really denied us that. I'm not sure who decided on the filming and the editing strategy, but it is atrocious as the reffing. And that needs to be fixed moving forward, especially because we have not been prepped leading up to the World Cup. I'm not sure about the Football World Cup. I stand to be corrected, but I think there was a prepping of the fans in how they use the VAR leading up to the World Cup so that people had an idea. With us, we're literally debating things on the spot.
Yeah.
Head clashes, red card. Head clash, no, it was accidental, move on. You're like, where the fuck is the consistency here?
Yeah.
So that's really been said, because refs and TMOs are meant to assist
Yes.
the game and not become focal points. And in this World Cup, they did steal the shine on both sides. I'm not saying there were certain teams, as some people say, the Northern Hemisphere teams were favored. I think on both sides, the refs were just atrocious. So I hope the refs don't steal the game on Saturday. It would be really sad. I really hope Scott Barrett, especially as an All Blacks fan, I hope Scott Barrett behaves. His discipline has been dog shit, and it is unbecoming of a Barrett. But it's unbecoming of a rugby, of a rugby legend in his own right. Just be disciplined. We don't want to see any cards, whether they are technical or we don't want to see any cards. Respect each other. Play hard.
Play hard, yeah.
Don't go at the refs. I've seen Adi Savia as well going at the ref. Johnny Sexton heckling refs. Not cool. The Springboks, and I think Rassi said this before, they brought in a specialist to coach the boys on how to handle refs. I think they've done amazingly well in how they communicate. It's very important. When the emotions are high, when you've just been blown for something you didn't do, there's a certain way to carry yourself. But I hope the refs don't steal the game. And I hope it's like the quarterfinals. Those games, even though the refs were a bit shite, but the games were phenomenal. So, yeah, man. Kobus Reinach is out, unfortunately. He also, unfortunately, didn't step up against England. I'm not sure who else to speak about. Curtly Aronsa, is lucky to be starting. I know we want to protect the boys and, we want to be fair and not be nasty, but some guys don't actually deserve to start because they haven't risen to the occasion. I think in form has been Grant Williams, even though he's a scrum half. He's been amazing at 14. Kanan Moody, maybe even if he was brought in at 14, has been. Curtly Aronsa hasn't really shown magic. Cheslin has. Against France, he was arguably man of the match. Bongi Mbonambi was man of the match. Kwagga Smith also could have potentially been man of the match. Curtly has just performed. But kudos to him. Trying to think of anyone else I'm missing. Eben has been immense. He's been nominated for World Player of the Year, by the way.
Wow.
I don't even think he's the best Springbok, by the way. This is not shade for him, but I don't even think he's the best Springbok right now. But congrats to Eben Etzebeth. Bandi Aki from Ireland has been nominated. I'd like to think he's been the best player this year. He's probably not going to win because his team is not in the final, which tends to happen.
Okay.
Chances are whichever team wins gets to have the Player of the Year.
Is that fair?
It is not fair, but it makes sense. But it's not fair. But Bandi Aki has been sensational at 12. Antoine Dupont for France has been nominated. He's been immense in World Rugby for the past couple of years. I do not think he deserves World Player of the Year, but he's probably going to. He might have a chance because he rose up with a fractured face.
Yes.
To almost take France all the way.
Yes.
So that might have an emotional, and look, it's a French World Cup at the end of the day. So maybe a consolation prize for the French people.
No.
I don't know.
No.
And then Adi Savia from New Zealand has also been nominated. He's really played well. He's also not necessarily the best, but if you're going to have Eben, you can have Adi, the two muscle men, and people are going to be looking to both of them to rumble things up. Stephen Kitchoff, I remember now. My favorite Springbok has been average this World Cup, in my opinion. Peter Steph Tutoy. He might do something special in the final. He might not. I've been waiting for him to rise to the occasion. Eben has had some magic moments of fire. I haven't seen any of that from Peter Steph. Jasper Wiese he's been reliable. Damien Delende has been reliable. Kriel has been reliable. Played fantastically well against France. Damien Willemse rose up. There was a game where he was sensational, but since then he's just been okay. Yeah, I think I've gone through everyone. Sia's been reliable. He also hasn't shot the lights out, which is why sometimes they take him off. But as a captain, I don't think anyone wants anyone else. There was a time in the past when people felt like it was a quota BEE token move from Rassi to be like, look, we want to unite the country. I'm new. He's a nice guy. He's been here. Put Sia there, and people are like, but maybe it should be Andre at a time. Maybe he should be the captain. And then a lot of people are like, the real captain is actually Dwayne Vermeulen. And there was a controversial point where Dwayne spoke to Rassi with an earpiece, and it was like, no, man. It's how they communicate with the seniors. Same with the bomb squad. The bomb squad at some point was largely black guys. People started saying, what apartheid is this on the field? So there was a time when people were like, we don't think Sia was the right or the real captain. There was a time when Sia wasn't in form, and people were like, this guy shouldn't even be a Springbok. This is years ago now. But what's happened leading up to 2019 and winning the World Cup, what's happened since then to even now, I don't think there's anyone, and it would not make sense for anyone, not just in South Africa, but in the entire world, to say that is not the captain. He is one of the greatest leaders we have in world sports. And as a human being, I've had my question marks on Sia just as a person.
Have you met him before?
I've unfortunately never met him before.
I hope you meet him one day.
No, I have to. There's something special about him as a human being, and he's not even trying. There are some people, and I'm jealous. I'm extremely jealous. Sia has something that I am working on, He is a non-racialist. He doesn't see color. He's got a white wife. I believe his best friend is Eben, a white person. But he stayed true to his roots. You know, he's proud of his Xhosa heritage. He's not ashamed of his background. This is going to be a small jab, and I apologize. A lot of the cricket black guys are very big on the twanging and the boys really did their best, and some of the rugby guys, some of the black guys will start having a twang. Sia still Sia, he just speaks the way people have known him to speak since he was at Grey.
Yes.
It's not like his accent has changed or
Yes.
anything. So the guy is a really special human being, man, and he's inspired me, and I'd like to think he's inspired so many people, whether you come from a disadvantaged background, whether you're black, white, whether you're dealing with racism, whether you're in an interracial relationship, colored kids, whether you're under pressure because of sports. He's just an amazing human being. And no matter what happens, and I'm just using him as the face, but if you look at all the Springboks, man, Stephen Kitchoff, like I said, is one of my favorite people. Bongi Mbonambi, who might take over as captain because he's the captain when Sia comes off. Andre Pollard and his good-looking face. I'm tired of girls speaking about Andre's looks. And his calmness and his maturity. Cheslin Colby, a great inspiration, especially for the smaller players. Him,
Yes.
Faf, Kirtley.
How much does he weigh? 72 kilos.
I think there's 3 guys in the Springboks that are under 80.
I think
Which is
Cheslin
ridiculous.
72 or 75 kilos.
It's crazy.
It's lighter than me.
They are inspiring. They're inspiring. He didn't get a chance to play, man, and I know a lot of people are going to be sad about it, but it was circumstantial. I'm not even sour. I'm not even. It's the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Lucanio Am is not playing at all in this World Cup. He came in 3 games towards the end, but by then the strategy had been set. People had been performing. I mean, even if Jesse Creel got injured, it would have been unfair to jump Kane and Moody and put Am in, especially because he hasn't really gotten a chance to play.
Yeah.
So Am didn't get to play. And a special mention, of course, to Magazole Mapimpi, who got injured. A special mention to Malcolm Marx, who got injured. Magazole probably would have had an okay World Cup. He's a World Cup winner as well.
Yes.
I'm glad Cheslin was starting and Kirtley. Malcolm Marx would have probably been a huge game changer in certain games, especially from a physicality, fetching perspective. But Kwacha, Dion Fourie add proper Vuma when they come on. So I won't speak much about the All Blacks because I think we'll focus on the Springboks. As much as I'm an All Blacks fan, this World Cup and when the Springboks plays is very much about South Africans. And I think even when you listen to New Zealanders, they know what it means to us as a country.
Yes.
They really know, and they also have that respect for us. But I'll just give a special mention without going into detail. Okay, Cody Taylor, it's fine. Brodie Retallick, who's been World Player of the Year before, huge fan of his. Samuel Whitelock, the most capped All Black. Ardie Savia, absolutely immense. His brother Julian Savia has a World Cup medal. Scott Barrett, the Barrett brothers. Sam Whitelock comes from a family of the Whitelocks who are also professional rugby players.
Okay.
But I look at Bowden and Geordie's father in the stands there and I'm like, this guy must have like super sperm. And I'm sure his wife is like, hey, well done, bro. He's like, God, it's all in a day's work. So shout out to the Barrett brothers, man. Geordie, of course, has stood up at 12. Bowden at 15. They found a place for him because he is magical. And when Richie Mo'unga stood up and became the best 10, he hasn't had a great World Cup, Richie Mo'unga. He hopefully will rise in the final. Aaron Smith is another guy who I'm a bit sad about when I spoke about sadness because they should have groomed other scrum halves a long time ago. He shouldn't be starting. He should come off the bench or whatever. But Aaron Smith as the leader and the leader of the Haka as well, it's going to be special to see him. Will Jordan has been a star. It's really sad that Richie Mo'unga didn't pass to him last week because he was about to break the record, which is held by, I'm not sure if Jonah Lomu, but I know Brian Habana and maybe one other guy. The eight tries in a World Cup.
8 tries.
8 tries. So if Will Jordan does manage to score a try, which I know will be very tough, both teams are going to be defending like beasts.
Yes.
If he does manage to score a try in this final, he's going to break the record and hold the record for the most tries in a World Cup. Mark Talia, very slippery, but he's okay. Yeah, he's just okay. Our South African wingers are have more X factor. So yeah, man. A big good luck to the All Blacks. A big good luck to Ian Foster. And I'd like to think all the people in New Zealand know how much we love them. They know how much we respect them. They know how much we respect the haka. It's going to be really, really special. And I hope it. Look, I just hope everyone gives their best. And there's no negativity, ill discipline. The refs don't steal the game. And whoever wins, I hope they win. Maybe let me say that in closing. I hope they win. And it's not that a team was cheated or robbed. Or I hope the best team on the day
wins. Who's going to win?
For the sake of load shedding. For the sake of the 2024 elections. Let me say something stupid.
For the sake of load shedding. Who are you going to watch the game with?
Let me say something stupid. Okay, 2 quick things. The first one is something I said to Vince. It is unfair that we put so much pressure on the Springboks to bring hope for this country when most of us don't meet them halfway. And by most of us, I'm specifically speaking politicians. Our politicians will go there, good luck to the boys, but they're not meeting them halfway and trying to become world-class leaders.
Agreed.
We at home, a lot of us are not meeting the Springboks halfway. We watch them, they inspire us, but do you then wake up in the morning and go and put in a championship type of work effort where you work? Are you proud of yourself? Do you push over and above and beyond? You don't. There are people who are lazy in this country, who are criminals, who are corrupt, who refuse to get jobs, who live for grants, who are going to be cheering and screaming and drunk. But they are not meeting the Springboks halfway for this supposed hope they meant to sell.
I love it.
So that's not really fair at all. Because the Springboks on their side, for all the hope they bring, they are not given a chance to actually give their solutions for how to run this country forward. Give us hope, but then keep it on the rugby field. Don't tell us what you think it will take to make this country better.
This is not rugby. This is politics.
Yeah, so that annoys me. The second thing that I want to say is it becomes sad when the Springboks win because, again, it's something I discussed with Vince. It lasts for a certain time, the euphoria. Then we go back to the same old rubbish that we have. Now, when they win, when a certain CEO builds an amazing company, when certain employees are working overtime without pay, when certain South Africans are picking up litter, when some of our greatest entertainers, business people are blazing the trail overseas, when everyone is pulling their weight, it makes you believe the ANC is doing something right. You're giving them a get out of jail free card. Whereas on the other hand, if the Springboks lose, if jobs are getting cut, it's like, but we know where the problem is. Now, when things are great, we kind of forget. Like we've forgotten now about load shedding because it's World Cup and no one is complaining and no one is seeing where money is shifting to go where for what. So I just wanted to make that note that it would be really amazing for the country for the Springboks to win, but people need to meet the Springboks halfway.
Yeah.
Whether they win or lose, you have to meet them halfway.
When Rome was falling, there was a circus every day.
Yeah. People need to meet the Springboks halfway. We need to allow the Springboks to offer solutions, including Rassie, Jacques, and the rest of the staff to be like, this is how you build a world-winning team, whether it's Bafana, whether it's the Proteas, shout out to them for beating England as well on the same day, whether it's our government, whether it's political parties, whether it's a company out there. This is what it takes, guys. This is what we've done. We've worked with diversity. We've worked with different types of people with different strengths. We've used strategy to say, we trust each other. Sometime you won't get the promotions, the next guy. And this is what we've used that you guys can then, maybe it could be a book or a program, how to lead like Rassie and Jacques.
Great
where
idea.
Other companies can actually, and other organizations can use that. We have to meet them halfway. And we mustn't use a potential Springbok win to try and whitewash our problems. We have problems. And we all need to rise to the occasion. And if the Springbok wins, maybe use that to say, if the Springboks can win, then we can build a better country. And if it means we need to fire certain management, we need to drop certain players at a government business level, let's do it for the interest of the country. You spoke about being emotional. I am not that emotional, but I do get emotional every now and then. Every now and then when I think of the history of South Africa, when I think of my mother's struggles in her marriage and where she comes from as a mixed race child. I look at my own children. I look at their moms. I look at the little wins I've had in life. I look at the people I've gotten to meet, people like yourself, of which I've said to you, I don't take things like this for granted at all. It might seem like you're an amazing podcaster. We'd like to have you on. It's like you see me, where so many people in this country are not seen for whatever reason. They're poor. They're not in the right circles. They don't go to the right schools. They don't earn the right amount of money. They're not politically connected. In my growing up as a child, there've been touch points and human beings that have given me the strength and the power to keep going. You might reference Michael Jordan. For some little child out there, they look at a Messi, a Ronaldo, a Mbappe, and they identify in some way. There are people that look at whoever your supposed GOAT is, in whatever sporting code, a little actor somewhere, a little comedian somewhere, a little DJ, a little politician somewhere who was raised by their grandmother. At a time when I was heavily in love with rugby, I was dealing with a lot of racism in rugby. There were talks of quotas. You'd get picked in a side and you get ridiculed. Genetically, historically, I'm not big. I'm not Eben or a Whitelock or even a Sia. I mean, Sia's a genetic freak.
Yeah.
He's not like a typical black South African.
He's a tall,
He's huge.
big boned.
Yeah. Like a LeBron James. These guys are genetic freaks. At a time when, and this is why we love the Faf and the Cheslin.
Yeah.
When you're a bit smaller, the
You're
guys...
more of an underdog.
Yeah. Yeah. And people write you off. And I've received racism from coaches, from players. You have to dig deep and fight. And watching what this country has become and what the Springboks have become, it really, it's a beautiful thing to see, man. And it's the reason I can so passionately today scream and shout and support the Springboks so much. I wanted to be a Springbok. Even at a time when I was dealing with racism. I understand why Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and certain other people have issues with the Springboks because they've got their own experience. But it's a real experience, by the way. People mustn't discount it just because the Springboks are winning. It's a real experience. At those times, there was a team from New Zealand, man, called the All Blacks, which really, even when you watch the haka, as like a Zulu boy, when you think of what we have in our traditional dance, indlamu, nokugida, nokusina, it did something to me. And I know it's just a game, and we both agreed it's not just a game, but some of these things are beyond. Some of these things are bigger than life, and they inspire you to another level. And the All Blacks did that for me. And I can never discount that. I mean, the All Blacks inspire so many people around the world, including some of our Springboks. I know there are guys there who, you look at even the style of play. You're like, oh, this is not traditional South African.
Yeah.
This is a bit of island flair. So it's tough for me because the current Springbok package and brand is almost everything that I dream of for this country. But the All Blacks, for a young boy back then who needed like a bit of fire and a bit of hope and a bit of inspiration, I guess they're like my old love, and the Springboks are like the girl that I grew up with who used to treat me like shit, but now she's grown into something special. It's going to be tough, but if I have to put money for what they've done for my whole life, it'll have to be the All Blacks. But if the Springboks win, it's going to be amazing. My son, Unkunzi, my firstborn, watches rugby with me. He's in Brazil. But at every game, we're chatting live at the same time. We have video calls.
Does he go to school in Brazil?
He goes to school in Brazil.
Beautiful.
So he's supporting the Springboks.
Of course he is.
I'm supporting the All Blacks, but it's all love.
He knows about rugby.
Whatever you say, man. He's the new generation, and he understands. And it wouldn't make sense for him to support the All Blacks because of what the Springboks are now. It's like the ANC as well. There's an ANC of old and an ANC of now. You can't support the ANC in its current form because of kind of situation. So the All Blacks now are just a great rugby team, but for me, they represented something more at some point in my life. But yeah, I'm supporting both teams, man. But I hope the All Blacks win.
On your point, I just want to say something. So this is a leadership style that I've learned and I've used, and it's very effective. And when I do this, or when I say these words, especially to the youngsters that are coming into our company, I can see the twitching. I can see it. It gets them going. So this is what I say. You born poor. It's not your fault. It's not your fault because you had no control over, you're born. If you die poor, I'm not going to say it's your fault, but if you die poor, you never got information along your journey, and someone explained to you what the power of that information, if applied correctly, was. I think that's the separation. What we have now with social media, with platforms like this, with us being able to see a live game. Imagine how many kilometers away we get to see it live in real time as it's happening. What we have today, that's different. The ANC of the past versus the ANC of now. You can take this message into any realm. If you have information as a young person and you put on a pedestal the right heroes, and you know that, okay, I'm not built like Sia. I'm not as tall, as wide, as strong-willed, and as capable as he is in terms of running, tackling, being tackled, relentless. But if I follow the recipe that he has, and if I'm relentless, and if I give my best and I try my best, there is a better future for me. I think that's what sport does for me and a lot of other South Africans. It just gives you hope that if you follow this certain blueprint, you can achieve outside of sport.
So there are people that say if you're born poor, it's not your fault. If you die poor, it's your fault. And you're right to correct it and say if you die poor, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault. You were never exposed to the correct information and what using that information in the right sequence could achieve.
But the important thing in exactly what you said is you were born poor because of things you could not control. Okay. You're going to die poor. Cool. In between being born poor and dying poor, there were certain things you could control.
Yes.
And that's where you need to judge yourself as a person. I wrote a tweet after Ox and Andre did the smash and grab on the pommies.
The smash and grab.
And to date, it's got 885,000 impressions on Twitter. A lot of comments, 520. A lot of, people took it as a polarizing tweet, which I don't think it was.
Well, is it very long? Can you read it out? I haven't seen it.
You'd like me to read it out?
Please.
I'm worried about us discussing it.
No, let's do it.
So I said this, and look, depending on how you read it, maybe you said you speak Bulgarian.
It's coming from the
a lot of shit and English.
And English.
Maybe some of the people that came for this are people that are not English first language. I thought I was as politically correct as I could be. My tweet was on the 22nd of October, I think the following morning at 7:30.
Okay.
And I said, and I've made a video before about quotas. It's a very provocative title. If you don't support quotas, you are a racist. It's worth going to watch. I think it's a nice video. I wrote it is thanks to rugby quotas that phenomenal players like Ox and Che get to be picked on merit. A lot of people missed that, and I think maybe it's just an English thing. Because people are like, he's not a quota. It's not. That's not what I'm saying here.
I want to define what you said there. So it's thanks to quotas that he was picked on merit.
Yeah.
So thanks to the quota system pushing players like him to be able to be placed on a stage where they can perform, he was eventually picked on merit. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
That's
so
what you meant.
it's a long tweet. I'll read the rest of it. But exactly to what you're saying. So you're born poor, you die poor, you die rich. There's things you can control, there's things you can't control. You mentioned information.
Yes.
The other thing is opportunity.
Yes.
So those two are very important in the journey from being born a certain way and dying a certain way.
And he had both because a generation prior to him before the quota system,
Yes.
even if he had the information, he would have never
the
had the opportunity. I agree.
I carry on. Players like Cheslin Colby, players like Siya Kolisi. I played rugby throughout school and tertiary, and to this day, racism is still rife. Most black players you see being picked on merit today would never have gotten a chance if the system did not force inclusion back then. White South Africans need to understand that they must help empower black South Africans if they want to be world winners in anything. One day, our economy will be at stake. Not a World Cup rugby final.
Our economy.
Our economy will be at stake. I think it's arguably even at stake right now.
I agree.
And if white South Africans have not assisted previously disadvantaged peoples to properly engage, and that properly engage is very important, in the mainstream economy, the country will get wiped out. That properly engage is important. We're not talking BEE and just giving a black guy a tender. That's not proper engagement. You don't just bring a black boy and make him captain and make him play. You're going to lose the games. So I say share land, transfer skills, fund small businesses, befriend black people. Do your bit to unearth the economic and social Siya Kolisis and oxygen in this country. Shout out to Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber for actually understanding this and for doing the right thing so effortlessly. Let's build a Springbok economy. Let's build a Springbok society. It starts with you. I wanted to say this as a parting shot. I wasn't planning to read that. To get a Siya Kolisi, there are many factors. And it's not just him. There are a lot of people involved in his journey. But there are a few key people. First is the scout that picked him up from Ezwide.
Yeah.
Now, when someone's going to come and say, oh, but look at Siya. You're like, bro, Siya didn't pick himself up and become a Springbok captain. There were people that went out of their comfort.
Yeah.
Into a foreign space, maybe even a hostile space. I might get mugged. There's apparently a young boy here who's worth seeing.
Agree.
What if they steal my car? I don't know. He's talented and he's only 12. What? And you go to Spring Rose or Dan Ekka Stadium to watch him at Gqeberha. And you're like, oh shit, he's what? And you make the means. White person. You don't have to. Make the means to take this boy and to be like, I will fight for this boy to get him into a better school, better platform, access to better information, better nutrition, better coaching, which became Grey High School in Port Elizabeth at Gqeberha. This is Siya Kolisi, and this story applies to so many black and colored kids. Very important. And some of the stories that are not told in this country, sadly, because of our racial bias, there are so many white kids who get picked up in the same way. They're not from the township, they're not from but they get found from some obscure school and they get taken to a great college in Bloemfontein. They get taken to a Paul Roos gymnasium, but no one tells their story because no one wants to hear it. You're white, shut up. But it's like, bro, my story is just like that guy. It's just, I'm not black and colored, so it's not fashionable, it's not sexy.
Agree.
So at Grey PE, another story Siya tells is of one of the white kids came to him because he couldn't speak proper English. This black boy from Ekasi, broken English, and he made an effort to be like, I'm going to be friends with you.
Yes.
You come eat with me and chill with me. And it's like, you don't have to. No one is paying you. No one is going to give you extra marks at school. You're actually wasting your time, bro. You could be macking on the chicks and being cool, but you're like, I like this. Oh, Siya, where's your home? Zweden. This guy's from Zweden. You guys here? What's this thing? And he actually made an effort to befriend him. And then Siya assimilated and adjusted and he played his heart out. That's the controllables. So we're going to go find you, little poor person. We're going to give you the information, maybe even the opportunities. Now the controllables is what are you doing with it? And Siya went and ignited it to what we're seeing today. Grey High School happened. He made Eastern Province Elephants at Craven Week. He went and made SA schools. And then from there, he moved to Western Province and the Stormers.
Yeah.
He had coaches there, befriended guys like Eben. Today he's at the Sharks. He's Springbok captain, etc. But there are even Rassie, even so late in his career.
Yeah.
You still need a Rassie Erasmus to be like, I see something special. And if you watch Rassie's documentary, I don't know if it's on Showmax or where, he tells his story coming from Dispatch, and why we love content like that is because for people that don't know, you'll assume Rassie white, Afrikaans, holiday homes, rich, probably went to an expensive it's just a boykie from Dispatch. His dream was to play for Dispatch, the club.
Yes.
That was his whole dream. It didn't go beyond province, and you get to see his family and his struggles and his dad's struggles. You know, like this could have been a black boy. You'll watch, you're like, but this is like a black person story. And you're like, it's because you guys never listen to these stories because it's a white person telling you. So it took a Rassi to be like, I see something special here. Yes, there are so many people that have helped him deliver him to me. We're here now. And I'm like, I can bump it up and take it somewhere else where I give him more information and more of an opportunity.
I want to ask you a question. Is Rassi... Let me formulate it quickly. Rassi meeting Sia, forming this bond, and them both feeding off of each other's success. Are they so connected because of their backgrounds and their journeys and them understanding at their core who they are? Or is it just, Sia's just got this incredible gift, which is talent and just the pure ability to play the sport, and follows, instruction well in terms of the coach says, this is the strategy? What do you think is the magic source?
I don't think they have similar backgrounds. In terms of simplicity.
That's what I meant.
No,
that's
simplicity, yes. But I mean, Rassi had both parents, as an example.
That's what I meant. Simplicity and humble beginnings.
And Rassi probably had, I'm not going to say a better platform. He didn't have to deal with, let's say, for example, a racial bias.
He did. He didn't. I'm sure he never. I don't know if he did, but never had to drink sugar water so that his tummy isn't sore the next morning.
Rassi at some point in his career became arrogant, and he speaks openly about it. He thought he arrived, coolest guy in the streets, and it took him being dropped in those things for him to find humility. And I think it stuck with him to this day.
Okay.
I don't remember anyone ever saying Sia's ever had a big head and had an ego, etc. So when we speak about their backgrounds, I don't know how similar they are besides the simplicity. What I will say is, because Rassi's been around the block, locally, abroad, he understands the political terrain.
Yes.
He understands so many dynamics. I think he's actually he's the guru, he's the sensei, he's the master. He understands. He's got a very soft feel for things. So Sia obviously brings talent, humility, great personality. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And I think what makes them work is Sia is teachable. He's respectful. He's humble. He's never arrogant. He gets along with everyone. And Rassi, because he's been around the block, is like, I know the right talent to back.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't assume that when they have chats, their chats are more around, I've been where you've been. I don't think so, in my opinion.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's I can see the talent, and looking at it from a helicopter view, I know how this injects into the rest of the team. I know how to use his gifts to the best of his ability.
I think that's what it is.
Got you.
Man, shout out to Sia, man. I know he's taken guys like Jesse Creel to go slaughter animals in the Eastern Cape. I have to give a special shout out to Nizam Kar, who used to play for the Springboks as well, and Western Province and the Stormers, old Bishop's boy. Him and Alistair Kutsia at that time took all the Stormers players to the mosque.
Okay.
To get them to understand that, when this guy disappears on a Friday, it's not because he's going to fucking dope or smoke a joint.
This is
he's
what
actually
happens,
going to, he's going to prayers, for the Quran, because he's Muslim. And again, because it's a journey, and it's a journey we have to respect, because I hated quotas. Maybe people also don't understand that about me. I hated quotas. No one wants to be known as a quota player or a BEE or employment equity. You're only here because we were looking for a female hire. No one wants that.
Yeah.
You want to know that you're there on merit. But in the education and the training and the deeper understanding, you need to understand that some of these things need to happen. Number one, because everyone's going to pick the person that sounds like them. If I have to pick guys in a team and the guy's like, All blacks all day. I'm like, okay, I want to work with that guy. You know, and people are like, yeah, but he's Indian. You're like,
not
okay,
gonna build
whatever.
a very good team. I'm joking, just kidding.
If I meet an amazing lady, she's like, oh, I remember my days back in Newcastle. I'm like, I want to work with her. She's from my hometown. She knows.
I got my driver's license in Utrecht.
Really?
Yes.
You went all the way to Utrecht because you know there are no queues there and things happen quick.
Yeah. So failed in the morning and then passed in the afternoon because they have, I think they've got like 4 stop streets, and the one stop street, the tree grew over the stop street. So the guy says, you went over stop street. I said, but there's no road markings. He said, go back. So I'm like, I drive okay, failed. I'm like, no.
What a loser.
And then he says, but you can make another appointment when the second day.
Yeah, that guy was trying to make money. What a loser. So you're gonna go for the familiar, understands English, loves rugby, etc. And sometimes you need to be pushed into uncomfortable terrain. You have to go for the. I normally make the example of the little black girl who's part of the ZCC church from Limpopo. She believes in Muti and those. And you're like, what the are we doing here? And you're like, look, she can do the job. She understands numbers. She got a distinction in maths. You're like, but cultural fit, bro. She doesn't fit. We swear and. It's like, no, you have to try it, because the whole point of quotas, especially because I have experience, is there were talented black boys that weren't getting picked, black colored, because they were black. And it's not, some could even argue it wasn't even racism. It could be culturalism. It's because they can't understand Afrikaans. Ek praat Afrikaans, heel dag, ek vloek. This little black boy is going to be like, I don't understand, and you're swearing. So it's like, it's not even race. He just doesn't understand. It's one of the reasons a lot of white English boys, for example, struggle in rugby.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm black and I praat Afrikaans, the coach will be like, "Fuck, Ben, kom ons gaan."
Yes.
And it's like, and then Michael, Pom, ek weet nie, hy praat Engels heel dag. So it might even be a cultural thing. So quotas force you to do that. The whole point of the message is there are specific white people in this country and black people today. But let's speak about white people for now. There are specific white people who are in places of privilege in this country who will watch the Springboks and love them. Love Sia, love Lucanio Am, love Magazole Mapimpi, Kurtley Arnser, Damian Willems. Damian Willems is another story because he was discovered by the Ruperts and they helped him get into Paul Roos Gymnasium, which is Johan Rupert's alma mater. I think he was chairman of the Old Boys Society as well. He's another amazing story of someone who was given an opportunity. You're going to watch the Springboks and celebrate and cheer and, Oxenche is amazing. And I'm like, you please do a deeper dive to understand what it takes to get there. Because you have certain opportunities in your life to unearth the Siya Kolisi's of Mitmac Motors.
Yes.
Of the economy. Now, don't up like the white guys before you and just appoint any loser, black, colored Indian person. Number one, because they're your mate, your gardener, or your maid's son. Or number two, because you want to prove a point. Oh, look, we gave them a chance. They're fucking it up. Because then you become the Rassie Erasmus who picks some random guy and the Springboks get whipped. And then you go down as a failure because you refuse to actually find the right person and back them. Back the right person because we're all trying to get somewhere together. And you've got an opportunity in your company, in your home, in your spaces. One of the lines I say is befriend black people. No one is saying going to a random car, hey, what's up? Go out of your comfort zone to be like, look, I'm a certain way. I'm trying to achieve certain things. Penn said I must befriend black people, but I don't like these corrupt what. Don't hang with them because they're clearly not about. Go for the guys you're trying to build with, whether they speak Afrikaans or whatever. Be like, I've made black friends. I don't care who says what, but I'm going to build with them. And the day my family needs to give a piece of their farm or work with someone, I'm going to work with this or I'm going to work with that lady. And obviously on the inverse, black people also, and this is a conversation which is really difficult to have with people on both sides. When Siya Kolisi was given the opportunities, he wasn't there at Grey PE. Yeah, but you're racist, white school. All the kids here are white. It was the criticism of Luke Watson, who came from a politically riled family. His father was Cheeky Watson. He came in and everywhere he went, it was political. It's because you Dutchmen always are racist to my black friends. Like, bro, can we just park that a little bit and build? And then when you get a chance, be diplomatic in how you make this thing work. So the black kids as well, when they're given an opportunity, no one is saying be a sellout because that's whack.
Yes.
No one is saying, oh, now, hey, I don't know how to speak Zulu anymore. You know, I mean, I go to Bishops, bro. I go to St. John's. I mean, fuck, when I was last time I spoke Zulu, I mean, bro, don't be a sellout and be someone you're not, you know. But take the opportunities and become the best you can be. Be genuine to your mates there. And then where you can, because in effect now, see us become a white person. It's always been the running joke in
See us
black
become
people.
a white person.
It's a running joke with black people where they'd ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a white person. You know, when you've got a black boss manager, you call him umlungu, which is a white person, ungamla, which is slang for a white person. My point is, Usia now is part of the privilege. And he now has an opportunity to go and do the same thing that was done for him.
Yes.
Whether it's a black township kid or whether it's some white kid in some obscure little dorpy. I mean, I think Peter Steph Tutoy didn't go to a big school. There might be a little white boy somewhere there who's like, I want to pay for his fees to go to Boland Landbouw. But he's white, bro. It's fine. You're like, no, people are going to overlook him because he's white. The same way someone overlooked me because I was black. So as much as I'm sponsoring the black kid, I'm also going to sponsor the white kid because we're trying to build something here.
With the success we've had in our company in bringing in cadets and raising them up to be the leaders in our company, I'll give this point of view, and it's my point of view. I know what I value from a cadet. So in our top 5 salespeople, 4 came from our cadetship program. So I know what I value. The number 1 guy is a cadet. The number 2 guy this month is our first cadet, JJ Polo. Number 1 is Charles Blacklock. I value very, 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 very high work ethic. I can't teach you how not to be lazy. You know, that's your parents' job. So if they didn't, and that's not a cultural or a economic situation. It's just them being lazy.
You're right. I can fully agree on that.
It's not...
Laziness is not racial. I don't care who says what. And it's not socioeconomic background.
Yes.
Laziness is just you.
Yes. So if you come to me at 18, 19, 25 and you're lazy, it's not on me. It's not on you. It's on your parents. So they are to blame. The number 1 guy was given for adoption. He was adopted. So, you know, we can't even point fingers at his parents.
Yeah.
So the people that took care of him along his journey were very good at injecting work ethic into him. If you want something, boy, you have to work. You have to outwork. Now, bringing cadets in and telling them exactly what I value. I value high work. You show up early and you leave late. That's it. I can't teach you not to be lazy. I can teach you the skills. I can teach you how to sell. I can improve. A lot of the kids that come into our company have a heavy dialect. So you know, English is spoken very seldomly. We get rid of your dialect by phoning 200 to 300 people a day using a script. And we're gonna practice the script together. This is how you should round off this word. This is how you should round off this word. And every available chance that you have, use our Wi-Fi. These are 5 videos that you should download and listen to improve your English. That's a fact. You want to make money in South Africa, you need to be articulate in English. You need to be able to convey a message. Sir, thank you very much for answering the call. My general manager specifically wanted me to phone you and discuss your account. Do you have 30 seconds? Now, you've got a boy that's 18 years old that walked here for his cadetship program, an hour and a half. Okay, very cool kid. He's going to make it though, if he continues on the path that he's on now. Speaking to a 50-year-old white guy that bought a Q7 Audi at 799. Now, do you have 30 seconds? Because I've got an important message from my general manager about your account. Learning how to pronounce the words in that certain sequence gets him aroused. Yes, sure, I've got 30 seconds. Sir, we are currently in a big demand for a Q7 like yours. I want to overpay for your car. Do you mind me telling you what that is? What the number is? Sure. Cool. This is what we do. I'm going to send you a WhatsApp message. I need 4 photos of your car, and I'll send you a subject to view PDF. Is that fair? Yeah, that's pretty fair. Okay, so that's a teachable skill. Now, if that youngster phones 200 to 300 people a day over a long period of time, in 10 days he's phoned 2,000 people. How many people have you phoned?
Oh, in my whole life. I don't think I've phoned 2,000 people in my whole life.
Yeah, he's phoning 2,000 people. So that's how, but that is reverse engineering what I value. And what I value is hard work and showing up. I don't value a degree, because the youngster that's sitting on 23 cars today is going to out-earn 99.9% of everybody in South Africa that has a degree. He'll run laps around them, not circles. So but this is applicable to our company. And on your point, I think if companies in South Africa know what they value and go out and look for it, I know how to speak to people that come out of poverty, because I came out of poverty. I understand being poor. I understand not having food in a fridge. I understand, that language. I can speak to them freely. And I don't only speak to it, I've lived through it. So we've got that connection. And I know how to drive you, because I'm a psycho. And I'll be able to talk to you that way the whole time. And you're going to be on fire the whole time. And then maybe sometimes you'll be like, shit, this guy's too intense. I can't handle it. But then some of them stick around. And, we change lives.
Yeah.
JJ, who's number 2, first cadet ever. I really, hand on heart, I've changed his life. I know I have. I've tried my best to, and the results show. So I think if companies understand what they value and they go and look for those characteristics, black, white, colored, Indian, I would love to work with an alien, because that will open a new CRM that we don't have access to right now. So if somebody from Mars is here, disguised, we run
just
a
hit us up, man.
Yeah,
Elon can't
program.
be the only alien in this world.
I know he's got a crew somewhere. So yeah, I loved your message. Thank you.
No, thanks, Bobby. And it's not easy, but it's the reason why the Springboks are who they are, and why Rassie is who he is, why Nelson Mandela was who he was, because they're unique. But I know for a fact there are many more people like them out there. Maybe they just need a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of a push to be like, you're okay to be crazy and to be weird. Because I can tell you, those people that they look up to now are also abnormal.
Yeah, and
they're not ordinary. Ras is not an ordinary white South African. Sia is not an ordinary black guy. They decided to do extraordinary things, and we can see it now. And you have an ability to do extraordinary things if you move out of your comfort zone.
Fully agree.
Yeah. Anyways, shutting it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that episode.
Good luck to the All Blacks, man. Good luck to the All Blacks. For me personally, but on behalf of South Africa and all South Africans, I hope the Springboks win.
Wow. We've got that on camera. We still have battery.
Yeah.
The Springboks will win. It's not me saying it, it's data. You can't argue with data. Data doesn't lie.
We'll see you on Saturday. Cheers.